The following audio-supported podcast is intended for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. Please speak to a healthcare professional before making any treatment decisions. The guests on today's show were paid to participate in this podcast.
Hey Thal Pals, it's your friend and fellow patient advocate NinaMaria, and you're watching Thal Pals, the Alpha Beta Revolution. Today, we're going to be talking about building community through advocacy in thalassemia, and I have some wonderful folks with me here and incredible advocates from Cooley's Anemia Foundation, ABRASTA, and the Thalassaemia International Federation, all different organizations with the same goal for the thalassemia community. So we're going to get into it and have these guys introduce themselves. Craig, we'll start with you and go down the line.
I'm Craig Butler. I'm the National Executive Director for the Cooley's Anemia Foundation, which is located in the United States.
Maria Hadjidimitriou. I'm an Executive Board Member for the Cooley's Anemia Foundation and Board of Directors for the Thalassaemia International Federation.
I'm Dina Stigo. I'm Vice President of ABRASTA, the Brazilian Association for Thalassemia, and I'm daughter of a patient, Merula Stigo.
Yeah, thank you. So I think we all know that the thalassemia community is diverse in so many ways, whether it be our individual diagnoses, transfusion dependent, non-transfusion dependent, or whether it be culture. We have patients all around the world with various cultures and health practices.
Agios is a biopharmaceutical company that's fueled by connections with patient communities, healthcare professionals, partners, and each other. Building on these connections and the company's unmatched leadership in PK activation, Agios is pioneering therapies for rare blood disorders, including PK deficiency, thalassemia, and sickle cell disease. To learn more about thalassemia, visit rethinkthalassemia.com. To join the conversation with other patient allies, follow us on Instagram at Ally Voices Rising. That's Ally, A-L-L-Y, Voices Rising.
So I'm going to start with you, Maria. Why do you think this diversity gives us strength?
We hear the stories from our patients, fellow warriors from places like Iran and Iraq and Thailand and Malaysia, and we become more educated that way, more respectful in the journey that way. And storytelling is a huge part of patient advocacy. So the diversity is one of the biggest strengths in hearing these stories.
Craig, what's your perspective on diversity and strength?
I think the diversity is, as Maria said, is just key to the strength of the whole community. And in a way, a community is really like a singing group. That it's like if you're a soloist, you bring a certain amount of quality and experience to a song. But it's even better when you've got other people, when you have not just a tenor, but you've got a bunch of baritones and basses and mezzo-sopranos and altos and sopranos to give it a big texture. Everybody brings in something that's different, and that's what happens with the thalassemia community. Someone who's got the experience of living in one country with thalassemia major is going to bring in something that's different from someone who's got hemoglobin H constant spring from another country. And we can learn from all of that, and we can learn what our commonalities are and where we have differences and what we need to do to really make this a strong community.
I will share with you guys a story about that strength. Back in the 90s, when my mom wanted to get pregnant, the doctors in Brazil told her it was impossible, that a thalassemia patient never could have kids. But I'm here. That's why, because my mom met other patients around the globe. She went to the US and met with other patients that have had kids. So she was able to learn from their stories and connect the American physicians with her doctors and figure a way for her to have kids. And she ended up having 3 beautiful kids. I'm the middle daughter. So this was only possible because of this connection of patients, because they share their own stories. And back in the days, it was harder because you had to get a plane, come to the US, search for patients, like go to Cooley's Anemia, to TIFF, and ask where these patients are. But now with internet, we could do that online. ABRASTA every year organizes an international event to connect patients, for patients to share their own stories and their own journeys and what's going on. And Maria every year is a mediator of this event, and it's very, very inspiring to see how patients get more strength with this sharing, you know?
Also, to add to her story, I was 25 when I attended my first Thalassemia International Federation conference in Bangkok, Thailand. And it was her mother, Merula, who I was shocked when she said, I am a mother. And I said, you mean we could become moms? And Merula said, of course you could become moms, and don't let anyone tell you that you cannot become mothers. So it was that defiant inspiration that she had that made it possible, which turned it to me. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. So, yeah.
That's wonderful. What an incredible story. And
connection.
Yes, it just highlights the strength in connection and how when you get together with another patient, it's like almost magical, and it's so uplifting, and we learn so much from each other. So thank you for sharing that. I think too, with these differences and diversity of health and culture, different patients have different struggles and issues. As advocates, how do you prioritize how to work with different patients? Craig?
Well, we're kind of, at the Anemia Foundation, we're kind of fortunate that the way that we developed, we started in 1954, and at that point in the United States, really all that we knew about thalassemia was thalassemia major, was transfusion-dependent beta thalassemia, essentially. And so that was really our focus. And then as we learned more, as we grew and expanded our knowledge, we were like, well, but there's also the intermediate patients in beta thalassemia, and so we were able to incorporate them. And then further on down the line, it became aware of alpha thalassemia as something which was clinically significant and needed our support. So in a way, we've been able to prioritize it just naturally the way that we evolved. And now that we have a greater knowledge of all the different kinds of thalassemia, we try not to prioritize. We try to treat everyone as equally as we can, so that we know, yes, a lot of our resources often go to transfusion-dependent thalassemia because there tends to be so many different things going on with them, but we don't ignore the others when we're aware that there's an issue that's coming up which is affecting specifically non-transfusion-dependent thalassemia. We focus on that and try to make sure that our patients that are in those groups understand everything that's going on that's new. So we really try not to prioritize now because we have a huge, vast store of resources that we're able to share.
Yeah, the word prioritize when it comes to advocacy is so challenging because every story is important, every patient is important. To me, they're all priorities, and I don't pick and choose. I, buckle down and do my best to support them, whether they are in Afghanistan. I've had a father where his son was 6 years old and needed blood transfusions, and he could not get any in Afghanistan, so he went to Pakistan, and I found him a foundation in Karachi so he could get his son transfused. To a patient texting me saying, Maria, I want to become a mother. What should I do? What are the steps to have a healthy pregnancy? So
awesome.
Yeah, I think we are all on the same page. Like in ABRASTA as well, we don't prioritize. We also believe that patients need individualized treatment. This is something that has been said a lot here at ASH. Like we need to individualize the treatment for patient and see what are this individual need, not do like something massive. So in ABRASTA, we have a program that's called See, Watch, and Transform. So we visit different cities in Brazil and go to the centers, the treatment centers, and we listen to patient stories. We hear what are their difficulties, and then we try and transform and see how can we help them, how can we change this reality.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you know, like we said, you guys all work with a variety of patients with different backgrounds and who speak different languages. How do you reach across those cultural and linguistic barriers to help patients? Dina, let's start with you.
Okay. So, as I said, we have an annual meeting, online meeting internationally, and the language barrier, it's hard because patients have to share their own stories in their native language. Like, my native language is Portuguese. Now I'm speaking English. My English is good, but even though I feel like I have a different personality, I cannot share my whole essence, in English. So that's why when we have our event, we put translation, simultaneous translation. So someone speaks in English and then you listen in Portuguese. You can listen in your native language. So we always try in ABRASTA to facilitate this translation so patients can communicate in their own language.
Dealing with global patient advocacy, that's a little bit more challenging. I have a patient in Iraq, and he, I guess, used Google Translate to say, I want to learn English.
Oh.
And I said to him, you can actually start reading beginning children's books in English, pick up a few words, learn phonics, to a mom saying she's challenged in conceiving, and here's where the cultural respect comes in. I said, did you try IVF? And she said, that's not allowed. I said, I understand. I said, maybe discuss with your husband adoption. And that was not on the books for them either. When you're dealing with global patient advocacy, cultural respect is really, really important. You don't want to offend anyone, and you have to understand, take it in with understanding, dignity, and you'll come to a solution.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's such an important point to make because culture diversity is what makes us so beautiful. But, sometimes it may be hard to understand other people's culture, and we need to take that moment to be like, no, their perspective has value too, even if it's different from mine. And I think it's really beautiful that you allow that space to respect everyone's, parameters within their culture.
Yes.
Craig?
And much the same thing. Our patient services staff, when they're talking with a patient or a family, they'll give them all the options in a situation that we know about without trying to push one of them. Number one, we don't offer specific medical advice so much as give information and then tell them, you've got this information, you should talk to your doctor about this to see what's the best route for you to be taking. And particularly when it comes to something like pregnancy or fertility issues, we just want them to know these are the things that we know about that are out there, and we understand that one route is going to be good for one person and one route's going to be better for another. And in terms of the languages, we do offer a large number of translations for the publications that we have. And one of the things which is very beneficial for us is that we have a monthly online meeting with thalassemia nurses. And one of the things that we're always asking them is, do you need translations of any materials into languages that we don't have already? And if they say, yes, we need something in Rohingya, then we'll do our best to, get a translation available for them to download.
Amazing. Yeah, I think that's such a great point when it comes to language as well, that the quality of care can be impacted if you're not fully understanding what's going on. And same goes with advocacy. We want to make sure that every patient and caregiver can connect in the same ways. So I think it's really amazing that you guys offer those types of language translation so that everyone can be included and feel the magic behind connection.
Yes. And even training health professionals as well to communicate better with patients, because sometimes patients don't understand what's going on. Like the physician tried to explain, but the patient doesn't get the message. So also, like one of our jobs as advocates is also communicating in a language that the patient will fully understand what are all the options in the table, and then he can get and pick the choice and talk to the physician.
Yeah.
I think one of the challenges that we come up with sometimes is that, particularly if someone is a relatively new arrival to the United States from another country, they may be seeing a doctor who is from their own community, who is possibly a very good doctor, but may not have as much knowledge about thalassemia. And one of the challenges is to try to talk to the patient and respect that, but suggest that maybe their doctor could have a consultative relationship with someone who does have a lot of expertise in thalassemia, so they could still continue to see their doctor, but that they would have someone helping them to get the information that they may need.
That's wonderful, yeah. I think that speaks also to Dina's point about how you mentioned sometimes you feel like you can't bring out your full personality in, a second language. And I think that also translates to patients who are trying to express how they feel and what symptoms or, treatment, anything to their doctor. Sometimes they can't fully express themselves in a second language. So I think it's really important to bridge that gap. That's awesome. I think something I want to ask you guys is we span around the globe, but sometimes in our own communities, the Thal Pals feel like we're a small group, and I think you guys are already doing this. But how do we raise our voice, and how do we bridge the gap, from location and culture? What are ways that your organization does it, if you haven't spoken about it, but also how are some ways that our patients can be active in that? Craig, let's start with you.
There are pluses and minuses to everything, including the internet, but the biggest plus to it, as far as I'm concerned, is that it does allow people who are in Idaho and Iowa and Indiana, just to use the I states, to connect, to say, oh, wow, I'm part of a bigger group. There's no one else in my community that has thalassemia, but in the web community, there are many of us. And when we go beyond the United States, we find that there are even more. So I think that that's one of the biggest ways that we're able to help people is by taking advantage of the fact of the communications that are currently available in that area.
Mm-hmm. Now we have like Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, and patients are sharing their stories. We have like some patients that want to share publicly their stories. Other patients are like, oh, I haven't told my friends I have thalassemia. I don't want to post in my own Instagram. But they are part of the Facebook group, the WhatsApp chat, and they are like talking to other patients and asking for advice. This connection is very important.
Yeah. We have a global digital conference every year that ABRASTA does, and that brings on over 400 patients around the world. And it is about 4 to 5 hours, ending with a master class on thalassemia, like all things thalassemia. So that is one platform. And then Cooley's Anemia Foundation has like 50 plus group where we speak on Thursdays. Is it once a month?
It's more often than that.
Yeah, and they met last night. I missed out on it, or this past Thursday. And there's 50 plus, I think it's 40 plus, and then teens. It's all different age groups, and the issues that comes with it. I mean, once you're over 50, you're looking at secondary diseases, right? So you talk about treatment options and pain levels, and then different Facebook groups. I have one called Thalassemia Mommies, which is for patients that are moms with thalassemia or moms to little thalassemia babies. And I mean, anything from osteoporosis posts to, hey, I'm breastfeeding, when can I go back on chelation treatments? I mean, and it's over 700 moms. I started it 10 years ago around the world. So it's very respectful. There's absolutely no judgment at all. We have a mom, and she just wanted to come on and post how she's fed up please do not judge me. There's no judgment. Anyone judges, they're out of the group. So I said, this space is for you to put your feelings out without any judgments. And she just, I get it. She was at her end, and she just needed to vent. And I love that I created this space.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Very special.
And we've obviously focused on the internet because it's so big, but CAF has an annual patient family conference, which is where patients are able to come together and speak face to face, and I think that's incredibly important. And AGIOS, of course, has had a number of workshops that they've done where they've brought, it's much smaller than a conference, but where they'll have maybe 20 people that come together, and that's valuable in a different way. So I think that one of the strengths of all of our organizations is that we focus not just on doing things in one way, but in many ways, because different people respond or learn in different situations in a different way. And it's important to try to do as many different kinds of connectivity activities so that people can, that connect in one way can do it, and people that connect better in another way have an opportunity.
That's wonderful. That's such a great point, Craig. I want to know, as patient advocates, what is your favorite part about your job? Dina, let's start with you.
Hard to pick one favorite, but I think when you have a purpose in life, like, it's not your work, it's your passion, you know? And I feel so grateful when we are able to help out patients and take, like, we are at ASH learning a lot of content and try and bring that back to Brazil and educate patients. That's so important. And when you see that the patient is empowered and has access to the best treatment, that's, like, I feel so grateful about it. So I think that's my favorite part.
Wonderful. Maria?
Hearing the stories from these patients means so much to me. I am beyond honored and blessed to be able to be trusted with these stories, and humbled as well. And just some of the things that come my way where they ask for help, and I'm able a little bit to give them that support, go here, do this, and then I see the goal right after that, the achievements, the success, and it just feels so good that they were able to do it. One of the patients from India was applying to an Ivy League school here in America, and he did not want to give up on this opportunity because of blood transfusions. And I just directed him at the Ivy League school, like, you have to get health insurance, and your school, if they really want you, they're going to be there. Go to this office, try this, and he's there, and he got his Ivy League degree.
Amazing.
And we shouldn't give up on that dream, right? And if we could be a little bit of support and just direct, you know, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yes.
So.
I remember a story of a patient in Brazil that gave up on university because he wasn't having blood transfusions regularly, and he felt like so tired. He was like almost laying in bed every day, you know, the whole day. And then we went to this program to listen and see and transform, and we met him, and we said, like, no, you can have thalassemia and also have a life, you know, you can also be active and go to university. So we connected him with a place in Rio de Janeiro so that he could get his blood transfusions correctly and during that schedule, so he could get more energy. And he went back to uni. He's now running. He's a runner. And to listen to his testimony after, he's like, I never thought I was able to get to this point, because we were also talking about Facebook chats and WhatsApp, but not everyone is in these groups. We still have patients that are out there and don't know other patients that are not connected to our organization. So we also have to work on awareness, and we also have to go after these patients that are isolated in some kind,
Yeah, absolutely. Craig, what's your favorite part about what you do?
Just the same thing, the success stories, whether they're really big or really small. That just, I think back to some 20 years ago when we were hearing from a patient who comes from the state that I originally come from. Someone had contacted us for the first time, and they were being kept at a hemoglobin of about 5. And just to know, a few months later, that yes, the fact that they contacted us and we were able to put them in touch with an expert in thalassemia, and now they were getting the kind of treatment that they needed so that they could be maintaining a hemoglobin where they actually were able to go out and do things and live and feel so much better and so much better about themselves. So those kind of stories always touch me and make me so happy that we're able to make a difference, in a big way for a lot of people.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. Just before we wrap up, why don't you guys tell our listeners where they can find your organization and just anything else if you want them to know about the organization. Dina.
Okay. You can find us in our website, abrasta.org.br, or also in social media, ABRASTA Official. And we are in YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, Facebook.
For the Thalassemia International Federation, we have a Facebook account, and we also have an Instagram account. It's TIF_Thalassemia, LinkedIn, and YouTube as well.
And for Cooley's Anemia Foundation, our website is www.thalassemia, spelled the American way, THALASSEMIA.org. And the links to our social media are on that site. And I don't want to try to tell you what they are because I'm bound to get them wrong.
Well, thank you guys so much for being here, and thank you for what you do. It's truly remarkable what you're able to accomplish in these organizations, and it's just a wonderful resource to patients. So thank you so much. And thank you for our listeners for tuning in. I have to say, don't be afraid to reach out. As someone who was a shy girly and took a little bit of a while to reach out to organizations and patients and connect, don't be shy and don't wait, because it can truly be life-changing. So don't forget to tune in next time, like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys on Thal Pals, the Alpha Beta Revolution.